And my screen says we're live on Facebook now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that we're live.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone out there in social media land. This is actually take two for James and I, but we got it. We got it going on. We are incredibly happy that you are here. If you're here, that means that you care about your education, you care about your life goals, you care about where you're going. And so good on you for being here. We are going to help you with all those things. That's what we do. That's what we do in this world. So let us help you. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to answer your questions. If you are live with us, you can leave all your questions in the comments below. We do have some questions from before, which I have up here. So I'm going to be up and down this whole time. So forgive that if that bothers you. If you're watching a rebroadcast of this, you can still get all your questions answered. We're going to give you a ton of contact info. And you can always call us, you can email us. It's important to us that you get all your questions answered, whether you're watching live or rebroadcast. So please contact us. Let us know what you got going on. Last week, we had an incredible time with Mike, my colleague. He was talking all about admissions. This week, it's going to even be more fun. We're talking about money, folks. We're talking about financial aid. We're talking about the most anxiety-ridden part of this whole going to college business, right? So I am Blake Bowen. I work in admissions. I am your host for tonight, but I am not the star of the show. The star of the show is next to me. I wish we were doing this live today. I wish we could be in the same room. We can't. Financial aid advisor and all-around good guy, James Owens. James, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I mean, as you know, it's one of my passions to talk about not really money, but the fact that you can afford to go to college. I mean, that's my main mission as a financial aid advisor at the college, is to help people realize, understand, come to believe you can afford to go to college. I've worked at the college for 28 years. 20 of those years I've worked in financial aid, and it's a joy to give away money for people to get an education. I went to Lansing Community College. I started at LCC, and I eventually transferred to Western Michigan University, got my bachelor's degree and then a master's degree and so on. And I couldn't have done it without financial aid. My whole family wanted me to go to school and I wanted to go, but I just didn't know how I was going to be able to afford that. So being able to be in this position where I can help others learn that they can afford to go to college, I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, we're talking like tens of millions of dollars a year that I get to just get rid of every year. Not by myself. There's a team, my whole department, there's 20 of us, and there's 5 other financial aid advisors, kind of like me. If you don't like me, you can see one of the other 6 of us, so you can see Andrea or Jake or Jen or Island or DeMarcus. But I'm Jim, and I'm happy to help you figure out the financial aid stuff too. So,
well, rock and roll again. Fun. Thanks for being here, Jim. So again, leave your questions in the comment section. I got my team, I got Mike, I got Amanda, and I got Cassie, all answering your questions, and then we'll see if we can bring them live too. So let's stop dilly-dallying. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of this whole bit. Shall we? You ready, Jim?
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
Okay. First question is kind of long form, so forgive me on this. So I'm out in the community a lot, right? And I talk to members of the Lansing area and surrounding areas who are struggling. They've been furloughed, they've been laid off. Yep. Many of them work 40, 50, 60 hours, and they cannot make ends meet.
Right.
And so they reach out, they say, I want to go to school, I want to go back to school, I want to get a degree, I want to get out of this job, I want to move up in my job, I'm sick of working hard and not making enough money. And I talk to them, and they're all in it, and they get to the point where we talk about the finances of this whole thing, and that's where they get stuck. Because they have families, they have obligations. Like everyone here, they have debt everywhere. They have bills. They need to keep working at their jobs, even though they don't want to do it. So what advice would you give these folks, James?
Well, of course, I'm going to say you can't afford not to go to college. I mean, the ROI, the return on investment, the time and money that you have to put into getting an education, if it took you 2 or 4 years, financially, there's probably nothing else you can do in your life that will make a bigger financial return for you. For example, the difference between a high school graduation certificate, the earning potential of that versus a college degree, whether that's a 2-year or a 4-year degree, it's $1.3 million more that you'll earn in your lifetime. So when I think about the long lifespan that we're all in, being able to cut out of the hectic lives that we all have and be able to squeeze in some college education, it's going to pay huge dividends financially. There is going to be a sacrifice. I mean, you can't do everything. And we can help with the financial burden. That's why financial aid exists. It exists because we know families don't have the resources to just pay for college outright. And we know that a lot of families are going to have to cut back on working if they haven't already had to as a result of the pandemic. And so we can make allowances for that, like what your income currently is going to be, or we can even project what your income will be while you're in college and make adjustments for your financial aid based on your actual ability to pay. We have resources on campus to help with childcare for parents. We have some free money that students will get. Like half of our students that go to college here get grants, free money. But you can also borrow money from the Department of Education. Those are loans. You might have to pay those back, and we can talk about that more. But I think the biggest message here is that there is a process. 80% of the students at our college and 85% of the students around the country use financial aid to pay for college. So nobody's paying for this, really. Almost no one's paying for this out of pocket.
Absolutely, right. So, okay, I'm ready to go to school.
Yeah.
You know what? I can barely make it through this week. So where do I even start as far as the finances go?
Well, the first thing we want to do is help you apply for financial aid. And when I say financial aid, this is a big umbrella term. There are different types of financial aid. And most of the financial aid that you get at a college, any college, it's almost always the same types of financial aid and the same sources of financial aid, no matter what school you're at. At our school, like all the other colleges, basically, it's money from the U.S. Department of Education. It's a little bit of money from the state of Michigan and a little bit of money from the college itself. But mostly what we want families to do and students to do is to file the financial aid application through the U.S. Department of Education, have that application sent to our college, LCC, and then we process all that stuff and figure out here's our cost for the program you're going to go to, and here's how much financial aid you're going to need. And we work all that stuff out for you. So really, a student doesn't even have to know what types of aid to ask for or how much they might need. We'll help you figure that out once you get the ball rolling by doing the initial Fafsa, the financial aid application, which we can talk about.
So can they do that at home? Can a student do that at home? Do they need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 6 months ago, I would have said, come on down to campus, we'll help you fill it out. But it's always been an online application, at least the last 15 years. So even if you came to campus, you'd be on a computer typing it in and stuff like that. So you can do it at home at studentaid.gov. The GOV means it's the US government's website. So make sure you go into studentaid.gov to file the application. You have to create a username and password and set up security questions, just like any online kind of application. But we'll help you. We've got a telephone line you can call that we can assist you with. We also have the U.S. Department of Education has a almost 24-hour staffed helpline that you can get assistance on the phone. But also the online application has a lot of logic built in to help you answer questions, because the questions aren't difficult, but when students are going through it, they're not confident that they're answering it exactly the way it's being what's my program of study? Is this my first year in college or second year in college? Well, I don't know. I took a class when I was in high school. Does that mean it's my second year? So there can be questions that people don't have a lot of confidence that they're answering it, but there's little help prompts on the computer itself. And then there's always a 1-800 number, or you can call us.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have customer relations specialists on the phone. They normally go into the STAR zone. You're exactly right. Yeah. Phone number for them, 517-483-1200. Option 2, we're going to put that link down below us. So check that out. So you can definitely call us. We have all the time in the world. We'll help you walk your way through it. What about taxes? Do I need to file taxes? That's always the fun part of that part.
Yeah, taxes. The two things that are certain in death, or certain in life, death and taxes, right? Was that Shakespeare? I forget who wrote that.
Merchant of Venice? I don't know. I got to look that one up.
Yeah, Blake would actually probably know. But so when you're filing the financial aid application, the Department of Ed, they do want to look at your financial situation. And they do that by asking you just a few basic questions, like how many family members are there in this household? Mom, dad, how many siblings or grandpa and grandma that's being supported or whatever. And then how much income does the family have? So they always ask how much money did the student earn and how much did the parents earn? So all that information, when you're in the Department of Education's online application, you import all that data in from the IRS website if you file taxes. If you don't file taxes, and you're not required to file taxes, because not everyone is required to file a U.S. income tax return. It depends on your status and your how much you earned and stuff. But if you were required to file, then presumably you did, and that data is already in the IRS database. You just transfer it into your financial aid application. If you didn't file taxes and you were supposed to, that's a problem. But you can still, work with somebody to get your taxes filed and get caught up and then get the financial aid that you need to be able to go to college. So we've seen it lots of times where students show up and they say, oh, I didn't realize I haven't yet filed my taxes. I'm behind. Okay, get caught up and then come on in.
Yeah, and we'll point you in the right direction. So don't let that scare you off. We'll definitely get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get away from the fun business of FAFSA and taxes for a second. Jim, can you just talk to us for a moment? What are the benefits of starting at a community college and then either completing your degree there or then going on to get a bachelor's, even a master's or PhD, whatever you want later on down the road? What are the benefits financially? What are the financial benefits of starting at a community college?
Well, the first one has to be cost, first of all. You could do the math and compare, but we've got to be 20% of the cost of our neighbor universities or less. You know the actual number, but it's roughly that. You're going to pay 5 times more for an equivalent freshman and sophomore year if you're going to get a bachelor's degree, except that at a community college, it's going to cost way less. And of course, the teacher to student ratio is going to be much higher. There's a whole lot of other important reasons why community college is a good place to start. But just financially, not only is it less expensive to go to school here, but our school in particular has a lot of resources that we can support you with that other colleges and universities don't have. Like we have a child care center on campus and we have child care awards. We have free tutoring. We have supplemental instructors that are free. The universities I went to and my wife went to, we had to pay for all that extra stuff, tutors and extra instruction and all that. You don't pay for that here. Librarians are at your command. We got a help desk 24/7. I mean, you got a financial aid advisor whenever you need one. So the support services at a community college are geared toward the student not really being completely self-sufficient, because a lot of our students are first-time college students, and we are expecting that you don't know how this all works. So we're set up to walk you through each step. We're not set up to say, well, don't you know how this works? Didn't your parents explain it to you? So yeah, those are some of the biggest reasons.
Yeah, that's really well put. And the fact is, for fall semester, guess what? Everyone's online. Yeah. Any university you're looking at, for the most part, you're going to be taking online classes. Yeah. So you're going to be sitting in the same desk, looking at that same computer, wearing your same PJs, right? So you can either pay university prices, which are going to be between $400 and $600, even $700 a credit if you go private, or you can go to a community college. LCC's around $100 a credit. Multiply all that by 12 credits and fees on top of it, you're saving a ton of money. Then you transfer those credits too. All right, I'm taking my admissions hat on. I almost went into my admissions world, Jim. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get questions directly from our audience that we took before, okay? So, is it too late to apply for financial aid for this fall semester? Fall semester at LCC starts August 20th.
It is not too late. I could almost say it's never too late, because you could sign up for classes. If you had the money, pay yourself, do the application later and get reimbursed. So the U.S. Department of Education puts the deadline at the end of the school year. You could have a student actually do the application for aid at the end of the school year. But of course, you got to register now and pay now. So if you don't have the means, there's even still time now to do the application. We want you to do it today. You're already watching this on a computer. So when this is done, get on there. Start the application. If you get stuck, call the 1-800 number, because we're closed basically not tonight, and just get it done and just push through. But it's not too late.
If I see due dates for FAFSA not related to what we got going on, is that right?
They're what we call priority processing dates or priority due dates. We're trying to give a date to students to say, like, I even hesitate to say this because it's in the past now, but we said July 1st. Please file your FAFSA by July 1st, because that gives us enough time to take care of all the paperwork that comes in with signing for your financial aid and turning in forms and all that. That can take weeks, because we've got, 10,000 students on financial aid. We got to process a lot of paperwork, and we try to do it all in a really narrow window. So we will get it done, but we can get it done sooner for you, the sooner you apply and get the process started.
I had a student ask, the FAFSA is asking for parent information. I am independent of my parents. Why would I need to put their information on there?
I had that question when I went to college too. Like, I was on my own. I lived in a different city, right? I lived in Lansing, and I moved here to go to college, and they handed me the financial aid application and it said, you have to put your parents' info. And I thought, I don't even talk to my parents about money, let alone they're never going to fill this form out. So let me explain what the process is with applying for financial aid, and then say that there are a couple of exceptions to it. So the Department of Education says, look, it's a family goal that you get a college education. So we have to look at the whole family's finances. And so that's why they ask for parent information. Even if you are 18 years old, living on your own, you're self-supporting, you have your own bills that you pay, you have your own job, you pay your own rent, all that, you are self-supporting. But the Department of Education says you're not independent from your parents for financial aid until you're 24 years old or married or you're in graduate school or you're an active duty veteran. There's a few other qualifications. If you were in a legal guardianship, if you were an orphan or ward of the court, there are certain other classifications. There's about 13 questions they'll ask you on the FAFSA to determine if you're independent or not. I'm trying to use the word independent differently than self-supporting. If you're a student who's self-supporting and you have had a total breakdown in the relationship with your parents, it's not safe for you to be around them, then you need to contact us because we need to see if you fall into one of these exceptional categories where we say, quite frankly, there are students who come to us who had to leave the home at 16, 17 because there was drugs in the home and there was physical or emotional abuse in the home, and they went and lived with a family member or grandpa and grandma or something like that. We want to talk to you because we want to be able to find out that's the case for you. Maybe you can go through the financial aid process as an independent student with our overriding it, but the student can't self-select to do that. So basically, it's a family goal, supposed to put the family information. 99% of students have to do that, but there is an exception group for some. And we want to talk to you. If you think you're in one of those categories, call me, call one of us in the financial aid office.
Yeah, I can't say that enough. Our financial aid advisors are awesome. Everything's confidential as well. Yeah. Your information, completely confidential.
Yep.
Next question. What do we got here? Okay, my sister goes to another school and is getting way more financial aid than me. What up with that? Okay, Jim, what up with that?
Well, it's so fun to compare like costs and award letters with other colleges and universities, because the reality is like a lot of private colleges, even big public colleges, they have a big sticker tag, like a big price tag hanging on there, but they know they're going to discount it all the time with their institutional scholarships or institutional aid, and they'll throw in their extra money from alumni and things like that. The reality is that the same amount of federal aid you get at a big school, big state school or a university is the same amount of federal aid you get at a community college. So actually your federal aid goes further here than it does at any of those other colleges. Now they're going to try to meet the need of the higher cost at other colleges with other types of aid, but very often that's parents being able to borrow loans, extra alternative loans on the student besides federal loans. For example, the largest free grant you can get from the government to go to college is called the Pell Grant. It's over $6,000. You get the same Pell Grant at LCC as you would at Harvard. There's no difference. And I'm just using Harvard because we all know it's an expensive college. So yes, you will see higher awards at other colleges because they're trying to offer more aid, but it's not necessarily better aid.
So how do they figure out who gets the Pell Grant? The grant's the free money, right?
Yeah, the grant is the free money.
Those quotes up there.
Oh man, so yeah, free if you attend class and pass your classes, okay, but it is free. And national average is 55% of all students who go to college get Pell Grants and other federal grants. So more than half. The glass is half full. You basically have to have a low enough income to get it. It's just based on your family size and income. And I couldn't tell you what the income number is. If you said, well, my family is a family of 4 and our income is $40,000, will we get the Pell Grant? I don't know. You got to go through the application and have everything go through the formula and we'll figure it out. But you have at least a 50-50 shot at getting something like a Pell Grant. And the lower your income, the more likely you are to get it.
Yeah, and that Pell Grant, I know at LCC goes a very long way. In some instances, the Pell Grant pays for everything. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be for everyone, but in a lot of cases, right? Which is why I'm very much an advocate of run the FAFSA.
Right.
Just submit it. It's free. Let us help you. It's free. Let us run the numbers with you. The only thing it costs you is time. But you're educating yourself. You're learning how the process works, and you're going to make an educated decision of if you want to go to college, and even furthermore, where you want to go to college. Because we know, look, hey, LCC is not going to be for everyone, but it's going to be for a lot of people, especially here in the Lansing community.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Just doing the application and getting the award, you're under no obligation to take the money or to enroll or anything. You just, like you said, get the information and find out if you went to school. And I think you're right. A lot of students are surprised to find that not only is their tuition paid, but they've got money for books, supplies, a backpack, a bus pass. It's not enough to pay for 6 months of rent, but it can help with some of those things.
Right, which goes back to, well, how could you not afford to go, right? So it's not necessarily like how much it costs, right? If you're looking at grants and the help that we can help you with or help you find anyway. Okay, so all this money comes from the federal government, right? We're not talking about we'll talk about scholarships all in a second. So I have a student ask me, why would the federal government, I'll rephrase it, why would the federal government help me go to school? What benefit, how does it benefit them?
I'll give you two reasons. I'll give you a financial reason and then a cultural reason. First, culturally, we want an educated workforce available. We want a society that is better equipped to help each other, especially in times like this. It's a good thing we have nurses and doctors and teachers and they can teach online, all these things. So we want to elevate our culture. But the second thing is, and I'm sort of being a little coy here, but imagine how much more taxes you'll pay when you have a higher paying job. Because with a college degree, you're going to earn twice as much per year as the person who didn't get a college degree, which means you're going to pay more in taxes, which means they're going to get all that free money back eventually, but you're going to be enjoying a higher quality of life along the way. So are they financially incentivized to do this? Sure, the government's giving you free money, but they're likely going to get all that back. But even more than that, it helps, our American dream be realized.
So it's some of it's loans, right, from the federal government. Is it similar to like a credit card loan or car loan? I mean, everyone's got 100 different loans. So how is this one different at all?
So the good thing about LCC is students about half of our students will borrow loans, and they'll borrow relatively small amounts of money. So they're not going to be in massive amount of debt when they leave us. And we counsel you around that so you don't have to do that. But the loans that we offer at LCC are loans from the Department of Ed. You don't make payments on the loan while you're in college. You don't have to be full-time. You can go half-time, 6 credits or more, you'd qualify for a loan. And you don't start paying on your loan until after you're done with college. Now, that means drop out, stop out, graduate, whatever. But when you'll drop below 6 credits, then they say, oh, looks like you're done. It's time to start paying your loan back. And for federal student loans, the standard repayment on those is 10 years. But if you go to college longer and get a lot more debt, you can get that extended, especially if you go to graduate school, law school, or medical school or something like that. But the federal government is the easiest agency to work with to repay your student loans. There are private lending there's a private lending industry like banks and stuff you could borrow from. Interest rates tend to be a little bit higher, repayment not as flexible. The U.S. Department of Education is who our students borrow from, and they're an excellent low interest place to borrow from. And students don't make payments while they're in school. In fact, half of the loans that we give to students, there's not even any interest growing on the loan while they're in college. So the amount you borrowed is exactly what you owe when you graduate. Interest starts on it when you start repaying a loan, but you can't find a loan like that anywhere except in college.
So the idea is you graduate, you get a higher paying job, which LCC helps you get, by the way, with job placement.
Yeah.
And then with that higher paying job, then you start paying on that student loan.
Exactly. And you can pay it off early. You can take more time if you needed. There is some public loan forgiveness programs. If you work, in a particular kind of industry, you can get some of your loans forgiven potentially. But I wouldn't count on your loans getting written off just because you went to college to be a social worker and you'll never have to pay your loans back or whatever. I've talked to students about that. Like, you're going to be earning more money and you have to have low income to qualify for those loan forgiveness things. So most people with college degrees don't qualify for those because they're earning a lot of money.
We have a question straight from the comments here on LCC Live. So the question is, it's a question about TIP. What is TIP? And do you need to be a full-time student to have TIP? Can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
So I was saying earlier, there's federal aid, but then there's also money from the state of Michigan. TIP is one of those funds from the state of Michigan. It stands for Tuition Incentive Program. You do not have to go full-time to get that scholarship. And it will basically pay your tuition. It's designed to pay your tuition, your full tuition for a little bit more than 2 years at a community college. You can take more than that amount of time because you don't have to go full-time. So you can actually it's about 80 credits they'll pay for. And then when you transfer to a university, if you do that, you can even get a few extra $1,000s on the TIP program at that point. So it's a state of Michigan scholarship. You have to apply for it. If you're a high school senior, apply for it now. They've extended the deadline, so you can still apply for it. And basically the families that qualify for this are students who came from a home where the family had low income and they were on Medicaid.
So let's stick on scholarships for just a second. So we talked about loans, talked about grants, especially that Pell Grant. and now we're talking about scholarships. All of this, to a lot of our students, kind of blends together. It's all under this big umbrella, right? So what, in a nutshell, are the differences between those three things?
Well, grant, loan, and scholarship. A loan is money you're borrowing, you got to pay it back. A grant is free money you were given because you had financial need. And a scholarship is something that's given to you regardless of your income situation, and you don't have to pay it back. It's given to you because you applied on a particular application, in our case, an LCC scholarship application. You're going toward a particular major, you've got a particular interest, and you have particular skills that you're going to be rewarded for. You're going to get a scholarship because maybe you have high grades when you were in school, maybe you volunteered in the community, maybe you've already interned in your field. Those are the kinds of things we like to reward for those students that are in college here. And we have hundreds of scholarships we give away every year, and we get not thousands of people applying for them. So it's not as competitive as you'd think. And last thing I'll say is you can get a financial aid package that includes all of these things: a grant, a scholarship, maybe a little bit of a loan, including the fourth type of aid we'll probably talk about in a second here, which is student employment.
So we're definitely bringing folks from the LCC Foundation's office onto LCC Live in the coming weeks, probably be more towards when that application opens up in November, end of November. So stay tuned for that at home. So that's an excellent segue into student employment, which has a little bit of a question mark with it right now. So for those, well, why don't you just go into it? Tell us what's going on.
Well, let me say, even though, we have hundreds of students who work for us and they get paid by their financial aid to work for us. So they show up to work in the office someplace on campus, and they get paid financial aid in a paycheck per their hourly rate. And that's called work study. But I think we don't know how many students we'll be able to employ because our campus is closed right now this fall. But I want to put that idea in your head, because when I was at LCC and I was thinking I got to transfer to a university, how am I going to pay for all my, my dorm or my other living expenses? And somebody reminded me, oh, you could work for the university and get work study funding. And that, as long as you're working there, your housing is covered. I was like, wow, great. So that's okay, good to know. I can use grants and loans to pay my tuition. Maybe I'll get a scholarship, which I did. And then I had work study, which helped pay for my housing while I was on campus. So I used all four of those things to get through my bachelor's degree.
And I can tell you from personal experience that if you're working with LCC or at LCC and you're going to school, well, we clearly know that you have class. We know when your midterms are, we know when your finals are, and we know how important studying is too. So we're going to work around your schedule. And you're also going to learn about all the LCC resources like the tutoring that we have, the writing center, the math lab, all those awesome things you're going to take advantage of because you work there. You're going to be there anyway, especially once we get back to business as usual, which will never be business as usual, but let's leave that topic away for a second. Let's not go into that. Jim, you've been here 28 years, is that it?
That's right, 28 years.
What keeps you here at LCC?
Man, it's like we're so mission driven. I'm a person that I just have to be a part of something bigger than myself. And the fact that this community college exists right in the heart of the city and in the heart of Michigan, which really in the Midwest, we're kind of in the heart of the United States. Mm-hmm. I feel like even though you think we're this little local community college, we're kind of an epicenter here in the United States where people can change their lives. I mean, that's the thing that we do. Not only will your life be changed interiorly because you're going to become educated in a discipline, but you're going to be educated in yourself and maybe in a skill and a trade, but it's just going to change the whole pattern of whatever, lineage you're coming from, the history you're coming from. In my case, I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. And for many years when I was a child, we lived in poverty and I did not want to experience that anymore. I'm happy to tell you that I'm not in poverty. The lights get kept on and the bills get paid, and in large part because I was able to get an education. So we just have the ability to people can change their position in the society like that. And for me, like, I know 2-4 years sounds like a long time, but Blake and I, we both went to college. We know it's kind of over sooner than you almost want it to be. But you'll just be in a different social strata and economic strata the rest of your life. And so will your kids, and so will your kids' kids. It just trickles on down.
Absolutely. And I just love the fact that, you and I, we're part of the community. We go out and we live our lives as part. And so being able to do everything we can to better the community or help people better themselves is really what it's about for me. Because you and I, we can't do it for people. They have to do it for themselves, but we're your champions, and we're going to be there for you. Jim, what am I forgetting to talk about? Anything else you want to talk about? Bikes or?
Yeah. Stay healthy and fit. Hydrate, eat well, rest. LCC is one of these places that the people who are here because they just want to sweep in and help you take the next step. Everybody in my department is like that. Everybody in the departments that sit around me are like that. I mean, we're all like kindred spirits with one another. I mean, we all, as soon as you meet a new employee at LCC, you're just like, you're here for the same reason I am. And so many of us, and we may not look like it, but so many of us come from the backgrounds that you come from. I mean, sometimes it's hard to see like these advisors and administrators and professors as like they were born that way or something. But we've all struggled and come through difficulties and challenges in life too. And when you tell us yours, we're like, I remember those times, I was there too. And we're sympathetic and empathetic, and we're educated and skilled in being able to help you get through that, like how to get through math, how to get through a breakup in a relationship, how to get through dealing with a difficult professor. I mean, we've been there, done that, and we are just people who walk the talk. We're there to help you. So I love this place, and I think you'll have a great time here.
Absolutely. I think, if you're thinking about going to school, you owe it to yourself to look into it. You owe it to yourself to make those phone calls, to make those emails, all the links below us. Contact our customer service desk. Contact the admissions team. You're going to talk to someone on my team might talk to me even. Links are down below of how to do that. Contact our financial aid. Contact an advisor. Find out what classes you need to take. How long are we talking about? It's like, look, I can only go to 2 classes a semester. What does that? Does that mean 1 year, 2 years, 3? What does that mean? We can help you figure all that out. That is what we do. So you definitely owe it to yourself to look into it. Let us help you with that, all right? Let us help you with the resources. Speaking of resources, next week, same time, same channel. I don't know the channel. It's a channel. Let's call it a channel. We're going to talk about LCC resources, meaning tutoring. We're going to have someone from the Learning Commons here, because the fact is, as I talked about earlier, fall classes are online. So all online classes, a lot of students don't really know how to go about doing that, how to get connected with the resources. So we have everything you need for that if you take advantage of it. We're going to show you exactly what you can do, what you need to do to succeed in classes. About student success. Later on down the road, we're going to get some success coaches in here too. If you apply here, you come to school here, you're going to have your own success coach. Going to keep you on track. More of that in the future. Also, talk to us, let us know what you want to talk to, what you want us to talk about. If you want to hear from a certain program, we'll bring them on. If you want to talk a certain department, we'll bring them on. Good thing, as Jim knows, about LCC, it's very small. So it just takes one phone call and I'm talking to the head of the program, or you're talking to the head of the program. So with that, we are going to sign off. I very much thank you for being here tonight. I thank everyone for being a part of this. Please share this with whoever you like, and tune in next week. We're always going to be here live on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, unless something catastrophic happens, which it never will. But with that, I'm going to sign off. Jim, any last words?
No, just thanks for listening, and I really look forward to working with you at our college. Hope you come on down.
Jim Owens, folks, he's the best financial aid specialist. I'll call him, he's an advisor, but I call him a specialist. Again, I'm Blake Bowen. I work in admissions. Contact us, call us, see what we got going on. Thank you for being here tonight, and have a good one, everyone. Thanks.